berkali dipijak, ku haramkan untuk berganjang. Walau derasa air merah, ku redam. Biar hancur buku 5, biar itu yang ku ada, hingga kudraku rebah.
Good afternoon. Hi, welcome to Being Whole Being Me series 98. Yes, two more two episodes before we say goodbye. And this is your host, Malheur. And if you had looked at who's our guest today, is the Sazzy Falak. So for those who are watching, it's a recorded version. Why? Because we've been scrambling for dates to get Sazzy, but I must say this, right? I don't think we all get a chance to meet, not everybody, maybe not me at least, to meet a star, a celebrity, someone who's so famous, but as famous and as wonderful as she is on screen. I can personally tell you that's my experience. In real life, right? It's rare that someone gets an opportunity to meet a celebrity who wants to keep her promise to be on my show and message me and say, Malheur is Bulan Puasa, I can do it, and scramble and navigate her way. So with that, without much ado, please put your hands together and welcome Sazzy Falak. Hi, Sazzy.
Hi, I'm feeling a little shy by that introduction.
Shy?
I don't know whether really successful or big star would be something I describe myself, but thank you.
You won't, but for me, you are, right? So, Sazzy, welcome to the show. Thank you for saying yes and figuring out.
I'm excited. Thank you. Thanks for wanting to have me on the show. And it's been ages since we last caught up and had a chat. So when you reached out, I said, of course, I'd love to do it. But unfortunately, I had a crazy few months. So thank you for being patient with me and my schedule.
You're most welcome. I think I have. So I met you in Clubhouse first, and
yes,
shamelessly, I will tell you that I didn't know who Sazzy was at the time. That she was a celebrity.
It's all good.
And then I hear this Sazzy Falak in Clubhouse talking to us and washing dishes, talking to us and bringing up her little son, and then I'm thinking, well, she seemed to have a very normal life like us, really busy, really multitasking. And I think that was the first thing that struck me about you, Sazzy. So, Sazzy, as I say, thank you for coming. And I think in the conversation, one of those things that really, really struck me is how you come alive when you talk about acting, and how it makes you you. So tell us, you started acting at 11.
Well, I was interested in theater because what happened was this was back in 92. That's when I was 11. And we went to London. I went to London with my mom and with my sister as well. And we stayed there for a couple of weeks. And that was my first introduction to theater, proper theater. But growing up, prior to that, my mom had told me, I would watch movies. I've been a movie buff. And I think I just love being transported to another world. And I love paying attention to the performances. So when I went for my first theater show, the first few theater shows, I just fell in love. And when we got back to Malaysia, I was asking my mom, I said, Ma, I'd like to try theater. And she said, why don't you go and do some research and see if you've got any acting classes out there? And there was one at the mall. It's Sunway Putra Mall now. And I think that mall was probably the only mall we had then, right? Very few malls. And they had this thing called Young Legends World of Theatre. Was it Young Legends Theatre? I can't remember. And I think I found it on the newspaper, in the newspapers, and it just started from there. So at that time, it was just me going for, acting class once a week, and then would have year-end performance. So things like that. And I only did that for a couple of years. Joe Hasham began when I was 19. So I did a commercial with him. And I knew, obviously, he runs Actor Studio along with Farid American. And he's very well known in the theater scene in Malaysia. So I did a commercial and he was the director. So, and I started talking to him and I said, I've always loved acting. And he knew my little history of, being in theater, and he liked my performance during the commercial. And he's like, come for my class, but come straight for advanced class, okay? And I said, okay. So then I did some more acting class, and it was just, again, for fun. Never thought I'd have like a full-on career in front of the TV. And I guess it's because the way I was brought up, I had parents who were in corporate, my dad was a businessman, and I don't think I had anybody in the industry. My eldest that was actually in the entertainment industry. But my mom did do modeling when I was growing up, but and only acted once in the drama series. And that's it. That was like the only experience I had. So obviously in my head, I'm going to be like my parents. I wanted to be either a journalist or one day own my own PR firm. Still didn't really know. But as luck has it, I ended up being in this industry, and I'm still here 23 years later.
And so because I like what you said about how Joe said, come for my advanced class, right? In my training world, that sounds like he spotted talent.
Oh, really? Well, obviously because I had experience as well. And yes, he did like my performance, and I enjoyed performing. That time I was doing a lot of commercials, and those were my tiny bits of acting. It's not much because it's mostly acting, hardly any lines or dialogues involved usually when it comes to commercials. So, and obviously when I had a chance to showcase what I've learned, so I would do 100%, and I'm glad he liked it.
So when you're acting, when you are performing, as you say, I mean, I can see the joy, because every time you talk about acting, you use the word enjoy, and there's joy on your face. So I can see that, right? Would you consider yourself a talented actor, or would you consider yourself hardworking, or you work hard to bring life to the role, or you just go and slip into the role and just be it? What happens for you?
I think all three kind of can happen to me. Talent, I don't know how I'm going to gauge my talent, but you need to have the love for anything that you do. So if you have the love for something, I think the talent will come naturally because you pay attention. You want to learn about this craft. So you do everything you can to learn and pay attention to it. You buka mata you lah, basically, to listen to everything. And as an actor, you have to work hard. The long hours, the unforgiving hours, I would say, and sometimes the scripts can be like majorly long, and you get different characters. So you have to work hard in finding out, okay, how in setting up your character, having the backstory. There are some characters which is easier because I can relate to the character more. There'll be other characters where I have to do more research. I probably would have to watch shows. For instance, like I will talk about Roshamno. He's a huge actor in Malaysia. I'm not sure whether you know him. And he had to act as a pengemis, like a homeless guy. He literally dressed up as pengemis and did that for a whole week just to feel what it's like, and went undercover. You see, so actors do have to work hard. It doesn't come naturally all the time. You need to do the research. But what comes natural to an actor is the ability to be peka kepada keadaan mereka di sekeliling mereka. Sebab nak kena dengar, nak kena rasa, nak kena feel, and you have to tap into the emotions. So he worked really hard. I mean, I haven't gotten a role like that where I had to do a crazy research, but I would really welcome it. And some actors and when we do, for instance, my project High Council, I saw that you posted it. The boys, they had 2 months of training for the fight scenes. So that, wow. And then also, yes, you can also slip into a character, because you need to slip into a character. You can't pretend to be a character. You need to be the character when you are in set. And that is, I would say, my most favorite thing. I can get lost sometimes in my own character. And when we're on set, we naturally call each other by our characters' names. And feelings start develop. Macam I was just doing a 20-episode series directed by Liana Jasmine, who's another talented actress and has turned into director. And in that series, it sort of has a Gilmore Girl feel. You've seen Gilmore Girls, right? So a young mom with an 18-year-old daughter. So, and and that daughter of mine really felt like my daughter. So it's got a show. So that is one of my favorite things about
Nice,
acting.
nice, nice. So tell me, when you think about, I mean, I like the way you've just gone with your feeling, tried stuff, things worked out. You call it luck, things worked out. But I
Mhm.
think for me, uh, the way I would describe it is, I think you just open, you go with your heart, and you go where your heart calls out to, and you figure your way. And
And
that's mm,
and I had the support from my parents. I didn't
yeah.
have any like, are you sure you want to go into this industry? It started naturally. I was doing commercials, and obviously my parents obviously knew about it. It comes out on TV after all. So I was like, oh, I'm taking over Mama's footsteps. Mama did modeling, but my mom was also a businesswoman. She had her own salons, and she was also a Prudential agency group manager. So she was really, really successful. But she's also very beautiful. So I guess, commercials did work for her as well. But it was when I started hosting for TV3 Music, and that's like one of the biggest shows. And I had no idea why I was doing that. I had never hosted, and I don't know why TV3 picked me. I'm so bad at this, and it's a live show, live on TV, live audience. And every week I'd be freaking out, going, why am I doing this? Why did I put myself through this? Why did I agree? But at the same time, obviously I agreed because I thought it was really exciting. So that experience, and then coupled with some acting jobs, and I actually was trying to like slow down, like thinking like, okay, I need to start thinking about having a proper career. I can't be doing this. I can't be doing this child's play. That's what I thought. And then it was my dad. My dad, he said, why you want to fight the system? Why you want to fight this? You're doing something that your mom and I could never do, which is being on stage and perform in front of a crowd for camera or act. I would say do this. If these opportunities arise, do this. Why don't you just do this? But he says, you want to do something in business in the future, then work hard at branding your name Sazzy Falak. Really, really hard. So that no matter what, Sazzy Falak, the branding is what, you can do whatever you want in the future. And I thought that was pretty brilliant. Because, I mean, my dad's a brilliant businessman after all, right? So, and I was like, hey, that's an idea. So when I finally joined the industry, I went, okay, I'm going to go in this 150%, 1,000%. I'm going to do it at whatever it takes to brand my name. But at the same time, I'm doing this while loving the craft that I'm doing, while loving it. And it's something that I've been doing anyway since I was young. So I had that support from my dad, and that sort of kata-kata semangat, which is very, I think at that time, I thought this is so unusual of Shamsul Falak to say this, because he's such a businessman, such a like proper, like stoic. Next to me, I'm like this expressive daughter. He's like, okay. So, but
You, but he probably got some training from mom.
training from my mom, acting wise, I mean, training
No,
in
no,
terms of
training to manage an expressive, amazing woman like you.
training. Sorry,
So I
what did
said
you
your
say?
mom would have trained him to get to know how to father a daughter like you is what I'm trying to
Oh
say.
yes, probably. Well, my parents were divorced actually at that time. So, but they I have great relationship with both parents. They're good. They're on good terms, of course. But yeah, I think training for my mom. But my dad, he's pretty incredible himself. He's someone that will always. He's a deep thinker. So, and that's something that I like to believe that I I got from him.
Mm, mm. Nice, thank you. I love the way you brought in your dad into and how he supported you, right? Now,
I
so
mean,
that's
parent support is the biggest thing, and I think that was the driving force behind it. If it
exactly,
was, yeah,
yeah. But what I'm interested in that story is this, right? You said you thought it was a child's play until your dad spoke to you. So I like the
yeah,
transition because you're having all this fun and it's like you're enjoying and you're good. You have the limelight, you're
yeah.
successful. As to you getting opportunities, so obviously you're doing a lot of things right, and yet it didn't seem like you thought this could be a career, right? One,
Mm-mm.
and then dad comes and talks to you and tells you while you're in doubt, which is fantastic because it's really nice to get validation or confirmation from your parents. But
Mhm.
at what point? I mean, I think the validation is just probably confirmation to what we typically think is a career in a child's play, a hobby,
Yeah.
and a career, right?
Uh-uh.
So, at which point and how did you know that, you know what, my dad is right? This is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to give my 150 and 1,000%. What was it that gave you that confidence and how you how
Um, hmm. I mean, I don't mean to make I obviously when I thought it was child's play, because it was
yeah.
because I didn't have enough experience. I didn't have any celebrity friends growing up. I mean, I had a friend whose mom is an actress, so I never really had that conversation about how acting can be a career. So I've only been exposed to the sort of careers that, I've been exposed to, which like what my parents did, what my family, the people around me. So I had no experience or a chat or have chatted with anybody from the industry. So I had no idea. And I was really young. I was really young. And I would say in, 19, 20 years old is very different from the 19, 20-year-olds now. They're a bit more woke now because they're a bit more exposed with information at the tip of your fingers. They know more. At that time, I'm still like kind of figuring things out. So I had no idea that acting ni sebenarnya banyak business facets to it,
Mm.
do this, and then you can create this semua. There were so many things you can explore. And I guess with my dad doing that, and I started terbuka lah fikiran I macam, okay, sebenarnya why didn't I open my mind to this? Maybe there's so many more opportunities that can come. It's just that before that I wasn't aware that the film industry, acting is tu semua. I just thought yes, Hollywood boleh lah kan, but it didn't connect because again, like I said, I never thought of it of becoming. I never thought of it being a career, so I never really studied it when I was growing up. Never really asked around. It was just something that I enjoyed doing,
Mm.
and I thought theater was something that I would continue doing because theater doesn't pay much. That's the one thing that we all know until now. But it's something like a hobby. But I don't know. I guess when I got called to do TV, semua. So at that time, when my dad and I had that conversation, I only had done music commercials as well as just 2 dramas. I had not hit that. I would say the big fame came when I did my movie Guling Dinshu, which I won an award for. So I think that was the one that really, but that was after.
Mm.
So at what point did I do that? I don't know. I think it was
Or
after the
maybe
conversation I had with my
let
dad.
me reframe the question.
Okay.
How did you know? Okay, this is it.
When I had that conversation with my dad.
Okay,
I was like,
okay.
I guess with him and my dad and my parents' approval, my mom was always supportive. So, which is why I didn't bring her up. It's not that she's not supportive. She's always supportive. She's always very happy to support. So, but I think I worried about my dad's approval, right? Like,
Okay.
so, and when he said that, I was like, so it buka all sorts of things for me. And I went, oh, you're right. Because my dad's family are all people, scholars, my cousins are doctors, surgeons, all that. So when, yeah, I am an actress. But it's getting around that mindset also. And me
Yeah.
telling myself, hey, don't put yourself down. And why worry about what other people think? If my dad already is giving me this and he's thinking, you're doing something that your mom and I could never do, that already dah memberi I semangat yang gila-gila
Oh,
semangat lah, basically. And I think that opened my mind to it. And I'm glad. I'm really glad that I had a very awesome father. Like, he wasn't like, oh, you get to be on TV. He didn't think that. He was just like, yeah, why don't you work on branding yourself since you're really good at it anyway? Okay, then you can do your business. It was very matter of fact, So, and I was like,
nice,
oh, betul.
nice.
And I think that's when I just, right after that conversation, I thought, yeah. So that's when I started studying the industry because I thought if I'm going to be in this industry, I need to learn. So every time I
Mm.
went on shoot, I learned more. Producer buat apa, director buat apa. When I was also in Astro and I was hosting this show called Beat TV that ran for 3-4 years, and I had the best time as well. I got to be by then I thought I was a better host because I did the crazy, which is hosting a live show for TV3. So I was more confident in it with Astro. So I started writing down what I want to achieve. And I did not know about manifestations or anything like that or law of attraction. The secret wasn't out yet, that movie in the book. But my mom always taught me from young that if you want anything, write it down on paper. So I wrote like what I wanted to do. I said, I'd like to host a hit TV show for a great channel. I'd like to be in a film. And then I'd like to win an award one day. And I guess those things happen because I actually wrote them down. And I didn't know that time, but I manifested those things. And
Nice.
I just really started manifesting again. I have my manifestation book here, and yeah, but so that was the journey lah.
Nice. Thank you, Sazzy. So, Sazzy, let me ask you this, right? You know, our show is known as Being Whole, Being Me. How does
Sorry.
being an our program is called Being Whole, Being Me.
Okay. Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
How do we become whole as a person and be authentic, be our true self, right? And
Hmm.
of course, I'm assuming you are your true self because I've seen you in so many spaces. It's the same, Sazzy.
You have to be authentic in acting.
Yeah.
I think
Well,
that's the one thing a lot of people don't know.
yes, and we'll come to that, right? So when you
Yeah.
think about being an actor, being Sazzy the actor, so in the space of acting, why? Because I mean, there'll be a lot of people watching this, right? And some of VR kids may want to get into acting, and there's always pros and cons and perceptions about a career that
Hmm.
it's a child's play or it's not serious. You know you just appear. Sometimes it's not valued. But let's talk about you. So when you look at yourself as an actor now, how does being an actor in whatever that you do makes you be your true self and become whole?
I love that question. So when it comes to acting, um, you need to be your true self. Why? Because when you get a character, you can tell when someone's pretending crying.
Acting.
You can
I
tell.
said acting,
But
acting.
when they are in a scene and they're crying, because how I do it when I the crying scenes that I just recently did, I was crying, crying, crying because at that point it was a scene. I'll just give you bukan blooper what's that word? See, I'm in this industry tapi I lupa. I'll just give you the ending line. Wait, so not the ending, part of the story. The husband was trying to divorce me because I
Mm,
was framed. So
mm,
and I was like, no, 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 So I really felt really sad for her, the character that I'm playing. You
mm,
have to really rasa untuk character you. Another thing also, um, what I enjoy about acting is you you need to explore yourself. You
mm,
need to, let's just say, okay, if I get like a scene or a whole movie about this woman, I need to, how do I put this into words? I need to be my true self because I need to explore how would I really feel if I'm in this situation. And you learn so much about yourself also through acting, mainly because you learn about reactions, you learn about when you're put in different situations. And I don't know whether I'm giving justice to this question of yours, but I'll try my best. Um, and how I found me in acting, I learned so much about myself while I'm acting, how I am like, how, because I can't. Okay, one thing I would say, sometimes we go through life and we tell the lies that we tell ourselves, right? We want to tell the things that we want to believe.
mm,
If you do that in acting, that's it. You can't perform. So I have to face the truth about myself. I have to understand myself. I have to understand situations. I kena belajar benda-benda ni supaya I lagi authentic dalam my acting. So I guess that would be because of the process. Sebab proses tu lah yang made me realize who my true self is. I hope
mm.
yeah.
I think that's kind of complex, but I want to tell you, I've done debate theater.
Okay. Oh,
Uh,
what's debate theater like?
so the debate theater is quite interesting because what you need to do is that. So imagine that it's like a role play,
Mm-hmm.
like a role play, and so there's a situation created, and so there are actors playing out a particular situation. We all sit in
Okay.
a group, and what happens is if you don't like how the story is being run, you then step into the role of the actor and play the role as how you would play it.
Got it.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay. So tukar-tukar orang juga lah. So it's
uh,
improvising as well.
yes,
Improv.
but for
Mm-hmm.
us to get into debate theater, we need to learn how to act. So I was learning how to act the role. And
Okay.
and I must say that I thought before that experience that you go in and you act to cry. So there was a role, and they said, just look at this person. Imagine this is your mom, and I was tearing nonstop. So when I finished, I couldn't stop tearing. My friend asked me. She said, "You were acting." I said, "No, I was crying." And
Okay.
so I know what you are saying, and that was my first experience where I the director, when he was a director, and when he directed us, I was shocked at my ability to respond to. So I understand what I get you.
Because you know why, Mala, you're so in touch with your feelings, and that's another thing also what I love about acting. You need to be in touch with your feelings. You need to be able to not be afraid of feeling.
Yeah. And so what I'm getting from what you said about getting into the role and being with the role and finding yourself is that, and tell me whether I'm paraphrasing you correctly, right? I think what happened for me, and as I'm hearing you, is that when you take on a role, I think there are often two parts. One is you're understanding the role, but you can't take away you from that role, because you come with your whole host of experience in life, and you're thinking, what would Mahler do, or how would Mahler respond in this situation? For example, how Mahler would cry would be very different from how Sazzy would cry, right? And I think at some point you sort of, some parts of you get triggered as to, this is not a part of me that I knew, because in real life, it's like role playing sometimes, or reading a book or a case study or watching a movie. In fact, you watch a movie, and then I will ask myself, okay, what would I do if I was in that situation? And sometimes I'm surprised as to what I discover about myself when I'm open for whatever shows up to show up. Only when I'm open. Otherwise, my self-deception side will say, no, Mahler, this is how she behaves and this is what she will do. Then I lose the opportunity to find myself.
I love how you said it. Exactly that. That's it. But I need to have a recording of this so that next time I get interviewed, I will be able to answer the way you just did. But that's exactly it. Because you put yourself in a situation, you have to be honest with your feelings. So that's when you learn about yourself. Yeah.
So how we understand this, right? So when you put yourself in a particular character, I know you're doing the research, and I'm really trying to get to what we would call empathy, right? You're putting yourself in another person's shoe, but you are still Sazzy, right? And Sazzy,
I mean,
right? So you're putting yourself into, say, an ABC character, right? A character.
It's another version of Sazzy, I would say.
Yeah. So, and now you're putting yourself in, but Sazzy's husband is not divorcing Sazzy. It is this character's husband, that's right?
Yes.
And so when you get into that shoe, so there's a lot of empathy for that person.
Yeah.
Right? Is that feeling that you express, does it come from really fitting into how that person is? Like, for example, maybe that person, has limited exposure, who thinks marriage is everything, for example.
Her character was kind of like that because she was really young.
Yeah. So do you, when you put yourself in that character, do you take away what you know in your world as Sazzy and say, okay, this is what I know, and this is, if I was this person, how would I feel? And you go with the feeling. Is that what you do?
In that particular scene that I was just explaining about, yes, I didn't have Sazzy in me. Because it was a flashback scene. So flashback to when I was 18 and that happened. And she was a girl that was in love. I was really in love with this man, and this man just wanted to divorce me. So I really was just crying my heart out and screaming. And then there's my jahat mother-in-law there and all that line. It comes to play. I mean, there are challenges when it comes to acting as well, because when it comes to acting, bukan saja it's just you and the craft. It needs to be in a great production team. You have a great director. You and your director need to also have chemistry, and you also need to have great chemistry with your actor. I would say there have been experiences where it was a little tough for me to be in character because of the person I'm acting with. But sometimes when you get the great actors and you work with them, you yourself become better at your craft, because it's the teamwork as well. So I think in that particular moment, I had a great production house supporting me, and then Jasmine was directing, and then the guy who played my husband is an incredible actor. And it helped that he's really handsome. And then, so yeah. I mean, he was like, it was good looking. I'm like, but but we were good friends, of course. So so it helps. In that situation, those nuances helped.
Nice.
And yeah. So I couldn't put Sazzy in it, because Sazzy is this 40-plus-year-old who's got like 17 years of experience when it comes to marriage. she's young and in love and still kind of dumb and pregnant when he was divorcing her. So
I
she's
like that.
hormonal as well.
Okay, nice. So, Sazzy, because you said what you said just now, I have one question that I'm curious about. So, I want you to imagine. I'm sure in your career there are times you need to play a role that doesn't sit well with you.
Yes, I
Doesn't
straight off you said that I had this one role. It came to
okay.
mind. I had
So
an
would that
argument with the director.
okay. So, but tell me, and this is really important because this is your job to play a role, right?
Mm-hmm,
And I think
mm-hmm,
we all in life struggle with it when we feel that
mm-hmm.
we need to show up as another person because of the situation or the commitment,
Yes.
right? How do you manage and reconcile one showing up the way you're not comfortable, but it's required, maybe halfway through, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what is there anything you do after that to reconcile with yourself?
Um, yes. Well, I'll tell you about my experience. It was in this particular drama,
Mm.
and my role was this really horrible daughter-in-law. Too horrible sampai I cakap dekat the director. I said, mana ada orang jahat? And then I said, kenapa? Orang kaya cantik je mesti kena jahat. Because I was like fighting with it. I was like, every time I see in the dramas, it's so tak real. Every time orang kaya jahat. I said, do you know how many orang kaya friends I have? And they're like the most awesome people. It's got to be real. So again, when I take a character, unless it's a fantasy movie, semua tu lain lah. Then you put yourself in another world. But here we're doing like it's like a drama. And so I'm like, it has to be real, you know? So, so the role was so teruk sampai I had to like baling pinggan, hit my mother-in-law and suap nasi. And you know, like masuk like that. I said, ada ke orang jahat macam ni? So I don't know whether, maybe ada. So the director said,
I
ada,
can tell
Sazzy.
you,
Ada. He said, ada. But I guess what I was fighting with was like, asal kalau cantik, kaya je kau nak kena jahat ke? That's what I was bengang. But this one I just like, and then I said, okay, I get it. There are people yang jahat. What makes her jahat? So the thing is with me, when I get a character, I have to create a back character, you know, backstory, sorry. So why did she come to this point? Because so being a jahat character is not foreign to me. Because in Golden Ginchu, I was a mean girl. I was a bitch. Oh, sorry, can I say that? I was a mean girl. And you can bleep it. Okay, tak pula online kan. So I was a mean girl. So doing that was no problem because when I did Golden Ginchu, there was a proper backstory to why Sasha came to that, or I worked it out with my director. And mean girl lah lain. Ini sampai kenapa dia psycho sangat sampai nak kena buat macam tu kat orang tua yang baik. Like again, she could have done that if the mother-in-law was also horrible, or maybe she had a horrible mother, so something like that. So I had to find. So in the end, that was something that I was fighting against during that time we were shooting. Of course, the guy who played my husband and then the director, I mean, they were very patient with me. I wasn't trying to, you know, not do my work. I was just saying, I need to understand. I need to understand why she's this horrible. And I said, ada ke orang macam ni? So the director was telling me, the guy who played my husband, we were talking, we were discussing, and they helped me find why. You know, they helped me create the backstory so that I'm able to do it. So, and yes, I've been in that situation, but I guess in the end, it's like, you know, I took it as a challenge. I'm going to do this. So far, I've not had horrible times, something where a horrible character or a horrible experience where I had to pull out. But I think that was that's the story that will relate to your question.
So what I'm hearing from that story, what it seems to me, right, Sazzy, is that it feels for me that you can bring you need to embrace the character to bring it to life. But what I'm hearing from here is that maybe there was a conflict to who you are.
Maybe, yeah. My values.
Yeah, your values is like, I don't think people can treat people this way without a damn good reason, and you couldn't find a damn good reason for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I don't know. I think it was not just that. It was not about the values. Yes, I tahu. I mean, I could have been acting as a gangster where I could kill people mercilessly. I could still do that, you know. But ni macam, I guess because it was a telemovie, and sometimes in telemovies the stories are not created with proper depth to it. So, and that is why probably where I was like, because the rest of the story, it just didn't make sense. Why should we not her? She had a beautiful life. She grew up nice. kind parents. And then she turned out to be like this. So dia mental ke? I tanya. Maybe she's crazy. I don't know. So it's just that it
Well,
didn't tally.
if
But
I'm
I
the
guess in the
director
end,
today, I can tell you why, but because it was many
mm,
years ago, I can't tell. Because I think
uh,
those days we grew up with a belief that when we show up badly, there must be a logical sequence to it.
yes. I guess I was trying to find the logic behind it,
Because
you
it
know?
was a strong belief. You know how they will tell you, oh, she comes from this family, so that's why they. So we tend to do that connection. Maybe
Yes. The
that's when
association is the conditioning we had. But yeah,
parents.
it was not easy. But obviously when doing the scene, it was horrible to her. I was in the scene lah. And then right after that, I shook it off. I'm like, sorry, mommy. Because she's an amazing actress. Yeah, she's a veteran, amazing actress. And she said, Sazzy, wipe it out. And because I was kept saying, I'm so sorry, what I'm going to do to you. She's like, don't apologize. This is your craft. Go at it 100%. Treat me horribly. Or treat me horribly. Do
But
it for the
how do
scene.
you
Do it for the
after
show.
after that scene? How do you shake off that role to become Sazzy?
I had to
Not,
tell
not,
myself like it's just acting for the first time. Macam,
okay,
okay, itu
okay.
berlakon. And I had a team, and I was acting with other characters, of course. So it's about telling the story in the end, right?
Nice.
Bottom line is it's about telling the story. It's getting people out there who's going to be watching the story to feel something.
They must hate you, lah. The idea is if you acted well,
Yeah.
people need to hate you.
Yes. They
So
have to
anyway,
hate me. I had to hate myself. My grandmother watched that show. I remember her reaction was priceless. She's like, I hate when you do characters like this. She's like, I want to hate you, but you're my choo-choo.
oh, so sweet.
My grandmother's my number one fan. Like she would never miss my show. She'll
Oh,
plonk herself in front of the TV or go to the cinemas when my movies came out in the cinemas.
oh,
She would do that.
so
Yeah.
nice. I'm so happy for you. So tell me, can you remember maybe the greatest criticism that you've received about a role? Yeah, a role that you've taken on, or even hosting, right? Whatever you've done, what is the greatest criticism that was most painful for you when you received it?
Criticism to my craft.
Yeah, to you,
I don't
actually.
think I've seen it. I have not seen it. I've not seen it. I maybe people. I'm sure I've been criticized, but I've not seen it. I've not heard it, so I'm not aware of it. But criticism is something that we always get by being someone that people know, someone famous. So I've had many things written on me, about me online and social media, as you know it. A lot of celebrities, you see the haters writing things on the comments. Obviously, I'm not phased by it anymore. But once upon a time, and I think I told this story to you in one of our sessions in Clubhouse, how
Mm,
that made me grow. How that
mm,
because the criticism was towards me as a person, and I think that's even more painful. How can you criticize me when you have no idea who I am? If I got criticized for my craft and it's
mm.
constructive, tak apa, I understand lah, then I can fix it. Me, you criticize someone, you saying things about me. First, you don't even know me. These are complete strangers. So I had to learn to deal with that at a very young age. In my 20s, I had moments where I broke down and I broke down to Nash. I'm like, why do people hate me? They don't even know me. And I was, budak baik, trying to do my best in this industry. And then people would say these things about me. So it was tough, but I'm glad I went through it because that toughened me up as a person. That I had to tell myself, hey, in the end, whatever they say about you is their freaking problem. It has nothing to do with you. So I had to go through that sort of maturity, and I'm glad that I went through that.
Okay,
So
let's talk about that a little bit because I mean
okay,
I see how celebrities or people who are famous either they're blown away by you, so you have the fan club that praises you a lot, which is
mm-hmm,
great.
mm-hmm.
Then you also have people who just criticize for the sake of
Yeah,
criticizing, and I don't mean you, I just mean generally. And it's
yes,
horrible to read the comments. I hate reading the comments, and I wonder how it feels because I'm terrified. Yeah, so when I first
mm-mm.
wanted to come into social media, it took me months to say, okay, how would I deal with if people criticized my thoughts on me? And
I
really,
see. Yeah, yeah.
I'm thinking like this is nothing compared to the kind of stuff that you need to go through. But help us understand, because I think we sometimes are very fragile, that the smallest thing or the simplest thing people say either about us or our craft, which is not validated. let's go to the unsolicited, unvalidated criticism, not even feedback, but criticism. They just criticize. They make
They
up
just
their
hate you for no reason sometimes.
no
Yeah.
reason, right? So tell me, what do you do to yourself? So number one, of course, you are heard in whatever not, right? And what you say to yourself. And how do you, so if people are listening, how can they model Sazzy so that they also grow from this? What is Sazzy doing
So,
that you can learn from Sazzy?
you know what? I don't know that if there's anything I can teach you. I'll be very honest. You just have to go through it. You have to be ready to see hate about yourself. So I think the only reason why I am where I am and I'm not phased by it anymore is because I had to go through it. Because while you go, because situations can be different. Because I don't know what sort of criticism people would get, but as it happens, the tools that you may need is to always just be able to process that feeling. How do you feel when that happens? Why does it make you feel this way? And obviously for me it was a huge bruise to my ego because I'm like a people pleaser. So what is it, like, okay, so be open to feeling, and then at the same time also have the support from friends, because I had support from Nash, and then and I would read, like, books like The Secret lah. I would read all these emotional self-help books as well, and those things I think would help me and make me have the kesedaran terhadap kenapa manusia berperangai macam ni. At the same time, it was also part of my work, which is to study why people are the way they are, what ticks them. So I think that's it. You when it happens, you will learn something from it. But why I say get support is you don't want to be dealing with it yourself, and then in the end you much self-destructive pula. You want to be able to talk to someone that loves you, and obviously people around you, the ones that are great, would be, if I had Mala at that time when I was going through it, it would have been wonderful. I would have had so much kesedaran, so
if the Malar you met that time is the same Malar, but I can tell you
because this is like 17, 15 years ago, lain lah sikit kan.
Even then, if I met you that time, if we were friends and you come and tell me people criticize me, I would have got upset with you or have gone down with you.
Yeah. Right, but no, actually, even when the friend gets upset with you, it just shows the support,
Yeah.
That's also a support. Like, apa ni dorang, and let you need to let go of that feeling. You need to cry it out. You need to, and I think that's the one thing that I'm glad that I did not ignore and I didn't let it sit in. Adalah juga. I mean, I can't be bursting into tears wherever I'm at, but I allowed it to come out because it was horrible. It was a horrible feeling, and now I read it, right, and people say stuff, right. I start laughing and I really don't feel anything, but I had to go through those things, that learning curve to be where I am right now. And I'm like, wow, this is so gempak, because I had a cousin that went through something recently, and she went berserk because it was a comment on her Instagram. She went berserk and she was so emotional and she reacted in every way possible. It was just like one comment, and I had millions. And she's like, how do you do it, Kat says? I'm like, you just have to be angry. Be angry. Tak apa. I understand where you're coming from. But it's nice to also see that, hey, yeah, I have learned so much from that. And now I do walk around without caring whether people like me or not, because I know they're going to love me or they're going to hate me, and I don't care. Because all I want to do is just provide love to those who are in my area.
Ah, nice. You have a beautiful set of twins and little Idris, right?
Yeah.
Idris,
the love of my life.
I know. I mean, especially the small one. I can see how he has you on his finger. Now, let's talk about your daughters, if that's okay. How do they read these comments about you, and do they have a reaction? What do they, or you protect them from? Tell me, is that?
Oh, no, I think they're very well aware. They're 12 already, and they're on social media themselves. And I think we've never really talked about it, but I'm always, we have conversations a lot, and I always talk about, we feelings and this. We're very expressive, how I feel, semua. Because when they came into the world, when they started, by then already, I'm not faced by criticism. So I guess they see it, but I guess they just like, oh, mommy's cool about it. Okay. That's it. But maybe once they start going through it, because I mean they have social media, they're still young. But I'm aware to be there for them when it does happen. It's something that we can't avoid, I think, with the world of social media now. You having young children, I think that is what that's the fear I have now. I don't care about how I'm feeling. I'm afraid when they go through it, and I just want to make sure that I'm there, and I'm there to help them through that time. So they don't really say anything. But they're
And
fans. But they're fans of my work though, because of Project High Council. They're both saying, "I wanna." So they're both interested in acting. I'm like,
nice.
why not? You may not end up being an actor, but I think acting is such a great tool and skill to have anyway.
And it's proven it's
Mhm.
good for mental health.
Yes, yes.
It is
I mean,
proven.
it can be good for mental health. I mean, you've seen other things as well. I mean, mental health is mental health, lah, you know. But I guess I had the ability to work through it and make it awesome for me.
Yeah, because it's an amazing space to express yourself, and find parts of you that you would not find
Yeah.
if you were not acting, or you didn't have this art form. So
But it's
Sissy, you
interesting you said that, right? Acting is good for mental health because fame is not really. I pulled out from acting. I I got so burnt out and fed up. That's why I didn't act. I only started acting again last year, right?
Mm,
Because I had that moment where I just was so done. But I'm glad I had those few years off because I worked on me. I worked on my being. I worked on myself. I worked on grounding myself. And doing Womentum as well was incredible. I had my business before that as well, and I had time to myself because I think the fame happened so quickly. I was 24, and suddenly I couldn't go to KLCC anymore.
mm.
Like it was just so much, and everything I did was being scrutinized. So that I went through a tough time, and that's why I had to pull myself out for a while. But now coming back into acting, I have more kesedaran. I've learned so much. I'm older, I'm more experienced. I'm smarter, and now I get to enjoy the craft that I do and not really care about the fame anymore. I handle fame so much better now. Dulu, I hate going into a shop and have people stare at me. Now I'm like, Stella, I'm used to it already anyway.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can
Mm-mm.
we dwell a little bit into that, since you brought it up, because I think it's a very um
Sure.
yeah. So you said, so I liked what you said. So when I said acting is actually good for mental health, I meant it expression is good.
Yes.
And I think art forms helps you to express the one that sits in your
Yes.
unconscious mind. We don't know
Mm-mm.
about it, but it comes out. So whatever that you feel actually gets a space out. That's what I meant, right?
Yeah.
On acting. But I like the way you differentiated acting and fame, and you say fame may not be good for your mental health. So can you tell us what led you to wanting a break? You did say burnout, but if you could, for listeners and people who are watching, there would be people who are feeling burnout in their own fame, right? And the fame may
Oh,
not be
yeah.
like you, but their fame could be being in the corporate world, being in a top position, being good at always
Oh,
being
yeah.
successful at getting their numbers or whatever, right? So then
Mm-hmm.
help us understand what you went through in terms of your burnout, how you recognized it, what gave you, so what recognized the recognition, how did you know you were there? Number two, what gave you the courage to take a break? Because a lot of us don't have the courage to take a break because we don't know whether we can make a comeback.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was a planned break. But I have to say before I answer the question, the reason why I brought that up when you said, it's good for your mental health, because there's so many people out there who also know performers or artists that have off themselves, unalive themselves. So I just wanted to get clear because nanti they will say, kenapa saya kata it's great for mental health, but this happened to other actors. So I wanted people to understand acting, there's skill, and then there's fame. Fame can also, because it's fame, it can feel very lonely. And my good friends are people that's not necessarily in the industry, and I don't know how to explain to them these things. So that's why it can be really lonely as well. But anyway, how did I recognize the burnout? I started being resentful. The biggest feeling I would say was resentment. I was just resenting things, like, and then and I was fighting with myself. I had jobs coming in, and I'd be like, tak nak buat. And then I tell myself, what are you doing? You kena bersyukur. So I would have an argument with myself. You need to bersyukur. You need to bersyukur. But at the same time, by doing that, actually, now obviously in hindsight, I realized I was not listening. I was not ready to listen to myself. I was ignoring me and how I felt. So resentment, and I started hating. But burnout happened in many ways. Okay, so there was also burnout when I was doing so many social media campaigns that I got so fed up with opening Instagram. I was like, malas. But because too much of something also is not so great. Um, and then you said, how did I take that break? How did I have the courage to take that break? So I'll be honest, it's not break because the great thing about the industry now, or for any industry, is the rise of social media and internet. So whilst I didn't do acting, I was still emceeing in a couple of events, and I was doing a lot of social media campaigns, which paid a great amount, alhamdulillah. So, and I would attend events. What I would say is I didn't stop. I took a step back, or maybe 5 steps back. But I was still kind of in it because I didn't want to let go of it because I still love the industry. And it's the only industry I know now since I started really young anyway. But it helped that I had social media. I have a management company that does campaigns, that dishes out campaign. Acting was something that I really wanted, but by then people were not calling me anymore. So I was like, how do I do this, right? Once in a while I do get calls. I said, I need to manifest this. So end of 2021, I was like putting out there. And then I realized, how will people call you for acting if you don't say it out loud? You need to tell the universe. You need to literally tell people you want to start acting. Then only then directors would like start paying attention to or start thinking of you because you're no longer in their radar. So yeah, so it's not really, I didn't really quit. I took a step back, a big step back.
Yeah, but it is like really nice that you were able to see how Sazzy in her core was disrupted by recognizing the resentment, because resentment is not part of Sazzy's craft, right? So because you enjoy it, yeah, and
because I love it. Why am I hating this?
Yeah, exactly,
and,
And for you to recognize it is, I think, important. And because I think some of us do recognize it, but we may not act on it. You know, we don't take the time out or the space that is required to recover and say, okay, when I get in, I want to get in the way I really am, that 150% or 1,000%. That's what I'm getting from you, giving yourself the space.
Yes, but I just wanted to let people know that you will be feeling lost as you're going through that journey. So that's what I was feeling. I mean, I had to go through that to be where I am now, in terms of my being. But at that point, I wasn't sure what I was doing. I was feeling lost, and I think things just happen naturally. Of course, it was okay because I'm lucky. I have a husband, who's alhamdulillah successful, so I could do that. But at the same time, for my ego, I hated not doing anything either. So I needed to still prove something for myself, Yeah.
Nice. Okay, Sazzy, looking back, to first how you started your career, and then you take us through, how things really worked out well for you, being at the break of frame and then feeling tired, right? And then now you say, I'm ready now, I'm getting back, and it's really nice to see you back in action and you being happy, and you're having all of these skills that you need, right? To get through whatever comes with the job, the criticism, the hatred sometimes, all right?
Or the big fame and not being able to get anywhere anymore without being recognized. Right.
So if you could go back to your younger self, right? What are top 3 things I wouldn't call it a wish list because I think it's a natural progression and learning and transition, right? But this is really for the younger people, right? If now that Sazzy has the wisdom that she has today and she looks at her younger self and says, if I can throw 3 insights for you, my younger self, and I know my journey could have been crafted differently, what would be the 3 things that you would give the younger Sazzy?
Number 1 would be trust the process. Just trust it. God has plans for you. Number 2 would be understand that it will always work out in the end.
Nice.
Number 3 would be, I had it just now. Number 3 would be, okay, so trust the process. I guess it can relate. Trust the process. Everything will work out in the end, right? Number 3 would be learn to stop caring what other people think.
Nice. Thank you very much. I think we don't need to become famous to use your three lines of wisdom. I think we all can
It's
do
life.
it.
That's
Yeah,
life, kan? Yeah.
thank you very much. So, Ceci, for people who are listening out there, and whether they are young or not, and they are excited and they think maybe I also can be like Ceci. I want to get into acting, but I'm not too sure. Beyond this three, trust the process. You know, uh, and just go with the flow, and
Mm-hmm.
right, of what you've said, right? Is it what
Yeah.
is your topmost advice for people who want to get into the industry like you? That means they don't have anybody, no
No.
experience, just a dream that I want to be like Sazzy.
Get out there and do it. The amazing actors that I just worked with on Project High Council, they the fame now they have is incredible. I think you saw the video, the amount of fans that they have, but they had to do something to get there. So I'll tell you honestly, so these boys, they're pretty young. They're actually in their 20s, although they act as a budak sekolah lah dalam cerita Project High
Mm,
Council ni. They most of them were from this reality show, sort of like a pageant show called Hero Remaja. So Hero
mm,
Remaja, it's sort of like a Dewi Remaja. Dewi Remaja is the female
mm,
version. So big stars like Shah Al Yahya, my friend Dinas, all came out from that pageant. It's like how you want to be a singer, you go into Malaysian Idol or Academy Fantasia. So these
mm,
boys had that interest and they did everything they could to put themselves out there. And I would say from experience, because I think in Hero Remaja, it's like a talent show, right? And then you get to be a finalist and then you get to, you try and win the coveted spot, lah, the grand prize. Um, the two lead roles played by the brothers. Nade is the winner of Hero Remaja 2020. And Miro, who plays the younger brother, is the winner of Hero Remaja 2021. But the rest of the boys, like the guy who plays Kaha, who's also now just from 3,000 followers now, ratus ribu followers suddenly on social media thanks to Project Council, is also one of the finalists. Actually, most of the boys are finalists, right? Some of them have been around acting. But anyway, the point of the story is they did that. They went into Hero Remaja, other people start going to Dewi Remaja, singers that want to start put themselves up there. Maybe they start singing on their, you know what? People now have the opportunity to showcase their talent on social media. It's so easy. Try and
mm.
do everything that you can to get yourself noticed.
Nice.
Um, Talk to people that you know who are in the industry to help, um, that can maybe help and support you. But these boys did it that way, and I thought that's an incredible story to tell. They must hero remaja lah, semua, and you have to berlakon, you have to menyanyi. I think to be able to be a performer and actor, you need to be able to do everything. You want to dance, you have to sing because it's about why you want to dance because it's about movement. Singing because it's about voice projection. Emote is obviously acting.
Nice. Thank
So
you.
yeah, just get out there and do it.
So listen to Sazzy. If you have a dream, just get out there and do it.
Mhm.
Right?
Put your
And let
craft out there. You have now social media. Senang.
exactly, right?
Mm,
And trust the process
yeah.
and believe that everything will work out fine. Yeah. And with
Mm-mm.
that, Ceci, thank you so much. Before we say
Oh,
goodbye,
you're very much welcome.
is there anything else you'd like to leave the audience with before we say goodbye?
Um, for those who know me, thank you for your support. I hope that my beautiful industry, this film industry, will become more successful, and for it to be successful, for our TV industry to be successful, for our film industry to be successful, for our entertainment industry to be successful, we do need the support from our fellow Malaysians, and that's the only way we can get success. And I want my industry to flourish, like our neighboring countries' industry is flourishing. And for those who have been supporting, thank you. And for those who are doubting to support or not, we do need your support. And think of it as helping another fellow Malaysian.
Thank you very much, Sazzy. So with that, thank you for taking time for us. And that was Sazzy. And yeah. So I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Sazzy. As we say thank you to Sazzy, and as I say bid goodbye. Thank you for joining us, Being Whole, Being Me, series 98. Sazzy shared how she found herself in acting, and I hope she has inspired you the way she's always inspired me, how to find ourselves in whatever craft that we choose. With that, till I meet you in our next second last episode, this is Malar signing off for now. Stay well, Stay happy. See you then. Bye.